I call this meeting of the Northwest Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551. Okay, we will now move to closed session. Good evening. It is 7 p.m. and we will now reconvene our regular meeting and begin with our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Rue?
Thank you. If you'd care to join me. Dear God, we thank you for the people gathered here tonight. We thank you for the commitment of our Board of Trustees. We thank you for their vision, their purpose, and their desire to work for the benefit of all children in Northwest West ISD. We ask that we might have the wisdom to make decisions that guide our students' learning and the insight to consider the many needs of Northwest ISD and its students. And we ask safe passage home for each person present tonight. We ask your blessings on this proceedings tonight. Amen. It is my pleasure to introduce two students from Prairie View Elementary. They are here with their principal, Yolanda Wallace, who is also mom tonight, too, which is a wonderful thing. And both families are here. We're delighted to have you. I'd like to start by introducing Lacey Hancock. She is a fourth grade student at Prairie View. She's the daughter of Travis and Michelle Hancock, who are right there with her. We thank you for coming and bringing a little brother. Glad to see you.
His name's Trouble.
Now, Lacey enjoys language arts. It's her favorite subject. In her free time, she likes to participate as a Hawks Hero, a PVE character club. She also spends time at home watching movies with her family. Her principal writes about her. Lacey is new to Prairie View Elementary this year. She has jumped right in and joined Hawk Heroes, choir, and UIL. In fourth grade, she has established herself as a lead learner. Great things are in store for Lacey at Prairie View Elementary. It's great to have you here. And with her tonight is Brandon Wallace. He is a fifth grade student at Prairie View Elementary, and he is the son of Ralph and Yolanda Wallace. Brandon enjoys math, and in his free time, he likes building with Legos. He plays baseball and basketball. He enjoys hanging out with his older brother, who is soon to be a seventh grader in just a few short months. His principal writes about him. Brandon is new to PVE this year. He has become a lead learner in fifth grade. He is a member of the Prairie View Elementary Choir, Hawk Heroes, and Lego Robotics. Brandon is in a position of success to begin middle school next year. It's great to have both of you here. Students, if you would, please move to the podium and lead us in our pledges tonight. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, people with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. And if you would wait just one moment, Board President Mr. Wright has a small gift to say thank you.
All right, with that, we will move to item 5, recognitions. Dr. Rue?
Yes, thank you. And Mrs. Nail is coming forward to introduce the recognitions tonight.
To come forward. And if Adam Fine, our Chief Technology Officer, will join them, please. On February 2nd, the Consortium of School Networking, known as COSN, recognized the NISD Technology Division with the TEAM Award. The TEAM Award recognizes school districts for their transformative impact on technology in the classroom and work to improve student learning, opportunities, and access. Chief Technology Officer Adam Fine accepted the award on behalf of the department. The team will advance to the National COSN Team Award and will be notified of their results in April. So congratulations. And that concludes our recognition this evening.
All right, and that will take us to item 6, public participation. No public participation this evening. Thank you, Ms. Withers. Item 7, consideration and possible action to send notice of proposed termination of the identified term contract teacher pursuant to Section 21.211 of the Texas Education Code and Board Policies DFBA Legal and DFBA Local. Dr. Rue?
Yes, thank you. As you are aware, we have made recommendation to terminate the identified contract of the identified teacher and are bringing this to you as a discussion item, as an opportunity for you to review and consider that recommendation.
Mr. Wright.
Mr. Fuller?
I'd like to approve the recommendation of the superintendent to send notice of proposed termination of the identified term contract teacher pursuant to Section 21.211 of the Texas Education Code and Board Policies DFBA Legal and DFBA Local.
We have a motion by Mr. Fuller, a second by Dr. Simpson to approve the motion as read. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will move to item 8, consent agenda. Board members?
Mr. President?
Mr. Schluter?
I move we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
We have a motion by Mr. Schluter, a second by Mrs. Roush to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. All right, with that, we will move into discussion action portion of our agenda. Discussion action item A, annual review, district strategies, beliefs, vision, mission, and goals. Dr. Ruth?
Yes, thank you. And Mrs. Nail is coming forward to present this. As you know, it was brought before the board at an earlier board meeting. This gives the board the opportunity to annually review the district's strategic beliefs, our vision, mission, and goals, and gives you the opportunity to make any changes as you see necessary, or to affirm and uphold those vision, mission, and goals.
Yes.
There you go. Sorry.
That's okay.
Editorialized.
Mr. President,
Mr. Fuller?
I would like to approve the NISD strategic plan, beliefs, mission, vision, and goals for 2014 through 2018 as recommended by the administration.
We have a motion by Mr. Fuller, a second by Mrs. Holland to approve the NISD strategic plan, beliefs, vision, mission, and goals for 2014 through 2018 as recommended by administration. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Schluter?
This is an annual review, and this will be Dr. Rue's last annual review. I just wanted to commend her as well as the rest of the board because of the work that we've put in over the past few years to solidify this. And you mentioned one of those is validation and continuing of the base that we built along with our administration. I mean, it's an awesome thing as it grows, and it will continue to grow. And I just wanted to thank you at this time for this effort because your DNA is in this as well as everyone's in this room. So I really appreciate the effort that you put in, Ms. Nail, in getting this together and all of the input that everybody's put together. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you. It's a good time as we begin our spring work together. And as you look to the person who will take you onward and upward, it's a great thing to do. So thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Schluter. Any further discussion? Great. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. B, staffing for the 2016-2017 school year. First request, Dr. Ruth.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. Kaylee is here at the podium to share that with you.
Good evening. At the last board meeting, we did present to you the first staffing request that represents additional teachers and support staff needed for our increase in student enrollment. These requests would help us get 22 students to every teacher all the way from kindergarten through 4th grade, adding a grade level at Eaton High School next year, and the additional administrators and support staff for growth. The budget impact is $6,623,590. Tonight we are asking for approval for the first staffing request, and I'm happy to answer any questions or review the staffing with you.
I will simply reiterate that these are all campus-based positions. Yes. Sorry.
And for growth.
For growth, yes, for growth.
And the money to cover this to pay for this is covered by
the dollars we will receive for additional WADA exceed this amount by a small bit. However, it doesn't level what we've used in fund balance for us, but it certainly does cover the cost of the additional staff for the WADA.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Kopp?
I move to approve the first request for staffing for the 2016-17 year.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kopp, a second by Dr. Simpson to approve the first request for staffing for the 2016-2017 school year as recommended by administration. Is there any further comment or discussion?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I want to have a comment, but my question is, if I said, hey, you know, we got all kinds of money, what would be this number that you'd be asking for? That's a dangerous question.
That is dangerous.
Yeah.
That is dangerous. For growth, I would ask you for the same amount. I mean, just what we need. If you're asking the wish list, I think everybody could probably come up with a wish list.
Right. Yeah. And we're cognizant of and I'm going to say this before John just has a heart attack. We're cognizant of the fact that while this does the initial staffing for our growth in the classroom, at the classroom level, we still will have capacity support necessary at the district level. And so we will look closely at that, which will grow. We also are cognizant of the 2017 legislative session and whether or not it will in any way change the fall of 2017's removal of ASETAR. So as we work through budget this year and we work through finding the efficiencies so that we can shift resources to accommodate capacity needs and growth without, to the extent that we can, to limit the additional staff we'll need, we're going to do that because we just recognize that it's going to be difficult if we do lose that $11 million then to do without it.
Sorry for the diversion, Mr. President.
I know you had 10 contingency teachers. I guess that would happen over time as the need arises.
Correct.
Would any of the teachers from the Northwest, because we're a negative number of 4, could they switch?
They could. If that's not lost through attrition, then they would have the option of applying to transfer to any open position that they were interested in the district, not just Eaton, but Byron or even in middle school. Yes.
And we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item C, 2016-2017, campuses closed for transfers. Dr. Rue?
Yes, thank you. And Ms. McClure is here to share this item with the board.
Yes, good evening, board. We bring before you tonight 10 campuses to close for transfer requests. This is one additional campus than what was closed last year. The only one that's been added to this list is Schluter. Every one of them is subject to the growth that we're expecting and continuing to deal with throughout our district in a fast growth district. So each one of them, that's the reason that we've cited as the fact that we're fast growth and the boundaries around them are continuing to develop. And I would say out of the 10, there are 7 of them that are actually at their capacity today, and the other 3 are anticipated very quickly. Any question? Yeah.
Go ahead.
What about the students that have already been allowed to come in that are out of the boundaries? Did they get to remain, or I meant to ask that earlier?
I don't know the answer to that.
I can
I'm sorry,
help you
I don't
with
know.
that.
I don't know what we've done in the past.
Pardon me. We have allowed students to remain at the campus once they're accepted as a transfer student, and they remain in the feeder pattern for the extent of time that they're accepted as a transfer student. They do have to reapply each year. It's more of a notification that they intend to stay and remain as a transfer student. And if I've got anything, I think who's handling those? Yeah, your department is now. But we have reasons for revocation of transfers have not been based on growth within the district. It's been on other issues that are specific to that student. So once we accept them, they're here, they're ours. They're not other people's children. They become ours, and they stay at the school where we have allowed them to transfer in.
Thank you for the clarification. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure if somebody asked me. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, the long-range planning committee is still meeting.
Yeah, we will be. Yes, we'll be scheduled to start meeting. Well, the boundary committee is still meeting. Long-range planning committee will be coming up in about another 6 weeks when we start meeting. The boundary committee is going on forward. We have 2 more meetings tomorrow night and then a week from tomorrow night.
Will we vote on that in March?
We'll bring it to you as a discussion item in March and then vote in April.
And so, Mr. McClure, explain to me the relationship of the boundary committee meetings in relationship to the closing of transfer.
Absolutely.
Why would one precede the other?
Yeah, the closing of the transfers of schools, these are schools that are already identified. Either they're at capacity and they can't really receive any more, or they're schools that are being discussed during the boundary meetings right now to alleviate the growth that's there. So, for example, our biggest one is Peterson. Peterson is scheduled to be almost 75 to 100 students over next year of its capacity. So the boundary committee is meeting to work through the process of how to help alleviate the capacity issues at Peterson. But we know regardless of their decisions, that would be a closed campus. Does that help?
The main thing I wanted to say was, I appreciate all the work that has gone before as well as currently. I remember back whenever we were set to open Schluter and we were talking about those boundaries and parents were saying, well, there's no schools there. There's no houses there. We're not going to ever fill it up. And so now that it appears very quickly on this list, the forethought and the planning and strategic planning that everyone has done in the district has been outstanding. And I just wanted to say that and say we really appreciate that effort and that work. Thank you.
Yes. And just one final note, the transfer window currently right now is set for application from April 1st to June 1st. So that's why bringing this closure to you today for discussion and approval, potential approval, is critical so that people can start to know if campuses are open or not for transfer. And thank you, Mel, for comments.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Thank you. With that will take us to the report section. Report A, the 2015-2016 Employee Engagement Survey. Dr. Root?
Yes, thank you. And Mrs. Nail is coming forward to introduce our speaker from Region 11. As you know, we do use Region 11 to help us with our surveys. So, Mrs. Nail?
Yes, we're very excited this evening to bring you the results of our biannual employee engagement survey. And we did have, of course, an increase in employees over the past 2 years, which we did have an increase of the number of respondents as well. And even with the increase of people taking the survey, we have been able to remain consistent with our previous survey, which I think is very, very good news. And with that, I will introduce you to Renee Agent, who is with us from Region 11 Service Center, and she was our third-party administrator to help us conduct the survey.
Good evening, and we really appreciate you all giving us the opportunity to serve you once again in providing your staff survey. And when we got the initial results in, we were just jumping up and down for you. These were excellent results. Just an overview is that we did send out unique identifiers to everyone in the district, and so that the teachers and administrators who replied to the survey could be sure that it was anonymous and that their answers could not be traced back to them. So we do maintain that confidentiality of the survey. And like Ms. Nail said, the 76% response rate, which was excellent, was actually up 5% from the previous survey. So the survey window was for 2 weeks in December before the holiday break, and there were 1,608 total respondents, and they had the opportunity to respond to 81 statements. And this was a demographic breakdown of those who responded to the survey. And by position. The majority of the schools had over a 50% rate in responding to the survey. And the percent of responders just was there to see the impact on the total results as we go through the categories. And when we presented this to the principals, I told them the high schools, I was really impressed that they did get the high school teachers that really chime in on the survey and give their opinions. So as we look into your longitudinal data, as we were talking about over time, the first survey was done in 2012, and that was with a different entity. We conducted your 2013 and your 2015, and if you look in the change column, it's statistically insignificant, the changes over time.
Let me interject something right there. The 2012 survey, if you recall, actually was on a 5-point scale versus what we've done now with the last 2 times with the 4-point scale. So we didn't force an answer during the 2012 survey, but beginning in 2013, and then this year we did force an answer from the respondent.
And as we look at the categories, if you look into the engagement category, 98% are totally proud to work for Northwest ISD. That is a huge kudos, huge. And so if you look at one of the lowest ones in the category, professional growth, and that's a good problem to have. You're putting so many leaders in the pipeline. You're putting a massive number of leaders in the pipeline. Because most of the people that responded in the comments were not upset. They just understood it was very competitive. And this is just strongly agree and agree, just to give you an idea of what that looks like over time. And this is done for each category, and you can go back and look at that in more detail. Also, your shared values category in all of your statements. And if you look, your employees feel like they're professional and courteous with working with students and parents and guardians, and that they really feel that meeting the needs of students is very important. And that reverberates all through the survey. And as we get to leadership, we see that the principals and supervisors in the district have high expectations for themselves and those who work with them.
I have a question about the leadership
Yes,
slide. Are these broken down by campuses so the principals see the surveys for their campus? Okay.
And also, as we get to communication, this again carries over from leadership in that they feel like their principal and supervisors provide clear directions for them and expectations. And that they feel like they know where to go get answers from if they need them from anywhere in Northwest ISD. So as we look at feedback and recognition, this is still one of the lower categories. If you look at it, it doesn't have as many in the 90s However, they do feel like the district in general recognizes their work. And as we go to work environment, again, when their principal or supervisor is not available, they know who to contact. They feel like their principal or supervisor makes time for them when they need it, and that they work in an atmosphere where they can accomplish the work that they've been tasked to do.
I would make a comment about the adequate time to successfully accomplish my job responsibilities. That is invariably a low-scoring item on anybody's work scale. And I'm quite frankly pleased to know that 67% of our staff believe they have all the time they need to do what they need to do. And that's not bad, when you look at it like that. Now, I'm sure they didn't frame it in that way.
And the comments weren't negative. And the comments that they about the work was that we're working at a high level, and
right,
we're doing everything we can to put it all out there. So they are working at a very high level, and some of them just expressed a desire to be able to do more.
All right. Well, when we're working with people, it's just a constant, and we would always love to have more time. I think as we look at these and we see, I'm looking at, I believe work is distributed fairly in my office. We see that's one of the few, I think maybe the only one we've seen at a 3% change, a drop there. I think it would be important to look at these as trend lines. Something that happens in one year isn't a trend, but we need to look carefully at it as additional years go on.
And again, as we look at career growth and opportunities, you notice that your continued education and professional growth for all employees gets very high marks, and that they feel like they can get any additional support they need. And as we alluded to earlier, it's just the advancement piece. And like I said, there weren't negative remarks. It was just understanding kind of that when you're in a district this size, there are only so many positions that open up. And again, for service, it looks the service that they provide to each other and to the constituents is at high levels. Again, the time issue comes up again here, and paperwork. But if you notice, they're feeling better and better about the paperwork. And that's a conclusion of the report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take those at this time.
I would like to add that in the survey, we had, out of the 8 categories, 4 of those were all in the over the 90 percentile or percentage, and of 7, we were above 87%. So we only had 1 category that fell within, and it was 83%. So anything above 85% is considered very good, and of course anything in the 90% is considered exceptional.
Yes, ma'am, they did.
Each category did.
Each category, they had an opportunity to leave a comment.
And I think part of it's due to our size and the nature of it's hard to envision in advancement sometimes when they're in this kind of environment. So some of those questions that we saw, a little bit of redundancy about that topic makes sense when you look at the picture.
Right, and we've had discussions in the past. You only have so many positions that are going to be available, and we've done at a district. I think we've done very well to hire from within over the years. So it's just that there's just so many. You'd love to place everybody that wanted an advancement, but you're just not able to because you don't have those positions available.
One more before I before, when we had a 5-point question for variables as far as the answer goes, did that middle column veer toward the agree or the disagree? I know we're comparing previous years.
So it was a neutral. It was a no opinion, so that it didn't force them to give an opinion.
It didn't force them to choose one way or the other, but when you look at the information, the data for the 2013 survey, you can see the huge increase for the satisfied and very satisfied from what it was the previous year. So looking at that data, one would assume that it leaned more toward the positive than the negative.
I have a question. First of all, that's funny. First of all, thank you again for the working with Region 11. It's I think what we're getting is a great value, and I really do appreciate it. The question I have is really more in general. And as my son would say, so what? And so we're getting some really good data, but even with that really good data, so what? What are we going to do with it? Where will we see this again? When will this roll out again? Even the bad data, or what's considered lower, when will we see this again? And what have we done in the past with plans around this staff survey?
Will happen. Of course, each campus administrator receives the report for their campus and for their department here in central office. They're able to identify and work within their department or campus improvement plans the areas that they would pay attention to. We have been working with our faculty advisory committee, and we've worked extensively with them in 2012 and 2013 when we began to talk about, well, then what does recognition look like? How do you want to be recognized? In what ways would you want to see that occur? So we have used it in that manner. I think that once we have this data and it's around climate and culture within the system, then it drives decisions that become perhaps less noticeable. It shows up within areas of our district improvement plans, such as conducting staff surveys and feedback after professional development sessions. Are these still continuing to meet your needs? We tie them back to the instructional framework within the system. So it becomes more of a ubiquitous component of here's how we have been informed, and we need to allow it to open doors for other avenues for people to give their opinions to things. So I know that in staff development, Dr. Espinosa does that consistently, makes an opportunity, finds ways to assure that professional development and the way it's designed gives people the same things our kids want: choice, opportunity to learn something new, and to interact with others engaged in the same work. So it won't necessarily be that we will bring it back to you in 6 months and say, here, we worked on this, but it will be embedded within the work of the district.
Thank you.
And of course, our next survey will be done. We'll do our parent survey this coming 16-17 school year, and then our next staff survey will be the 17-18 school year.
Any further questions or discussion? Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
All right. With that, we move to item 10, reports. Report A, we're already in reports. Report B, Northwest ISD Education Foundation report. Dr. Root?
Yes, thank you. And David Hester, Executive Director of the Foundation, is here tonight to share the good work they are doing.
Right. Good evening, Board of Trustees. I know some of you I saw last week and some of you I've seen around, so it's getting to becoming more common. It's been an amazing year, an eventful year as we continue to grow, as the district continues to grow, the student population, Alliance area. It's just a kind of an amazing time right now for everything. The Northwest ISD Education Foundation, we're tasked with going out to the community, finding those resources, bringing them back to then work with the vision of the Board of Trustees and making sure that every student has the opportunity to be future ready. And we can do that in kind of three ways. We can do it through our programs of helping make sure that we can enhance the excellence through our innovative teaching grants, inspire innovation, again, through our grants. And hopefully, by getting in and helping out the educators, helping out the administrators, defining distinctions so that when we go out, we can say, hey, it's Northwest ISD is a top 100 fine arts program. I met this week with the Fort Worth Symphony and also with the Clyburn. They are amazingly impressed with the amount of money this community donates to the Northwest Education Foundation that then gets turned around into grants supporting fine arts. It blew their socks off. They couldn't imagine. In the last 5 years, about $500,000 has gone into the fine arts. And so when you start talking to individuals like that and they see, well, maybe that's why the fine arts programs are at that level and have that kind of distinction. So that's where the defining distinction comes in as well. Little past history. Last year, NEF awarded $100,000 in teacher innovation grants. You can see Mr. Eaton. And for those who don't know, he will be awarding 3 grants at Eaton a certain Friday in February. And it hasn't happened yet. From 8:30 to 11. If you would like to attend, by all means, let me know. And if there's just one school you would like to go to, please contact me and we'll get that time frame to you. This year, we had 75 grant proposals, which was the highest amount since I've been in this position for 3 years now. We awarded 26 at 16 different campuses for $75,000. They are the best proposals so far. Some years you find a couple of them that we're not so sure. This year, it was hard breaking it down. The quality has gone up that much, and opportunities, literacy opportunities, working with special needs, the fine arts, STEM, tons of things going on. And it's going to be an exciting time on Friday. This year, the NEF board brought forward an NEF legacy grant, $25,000 to one particular program within one school. And we're going to award that on Friday as well. So if you would like to attend, I highly recommend, and I'm looking around, I don't see anyone that's going to tattle on me in here. I highly recommend showing up at Pike at 11:30. It's going to be a very, very good time. You're probably going to see people crying, screaming. It's a great thing, and it's a great project. Other components that we've done this year, the board brought forward again $49,000 in support of Northwest ISD administration programs, supporting the back-to-school drive, new teacher breakfast, gold card, United for Kids, the Connection Luncheon, Techno Expo, which is coming up, helping with the kickoff, and of course Inspire. And hopefully as our funding grows, this is an area that we might be able to grow as well and help, because that is the point of NEF, is to help the district, the teachers, and the students. This year we're providing, it's going to be $20,000 in scholarships. And then we administer $13,000 additional scholarship opportunities. The board's kind of going through a process right now, looking at what we can do. And so just as visions change, so do people's thoughts. And it's a good, healthy process that we're having within the organization right now in regards to scholarships, what we can do, what we can't do. We also provided $7,000 in the form of AP exams, and I worked with Kyle, and we created a rubric to make sure that we're helping the students and the families that need it in regards to making sure that they can get that exam, which then follows them, as you know, throughout their post-secondary career. We had our golf tournament last year, and I got these ladies on here because I just wanted, again, to support, especially Robin Ellis. These are students from Steele. Every year she's like, let me get my kids out there. Let me get them out in front of everybody. And they do such an amazing job out there, and they'll walk right up and introduce themselves to the golfers and tell them who they are and what they're doing. You know, it's just a fine stamp that those individuals who are there participating, they leave. They know that those students at Steele are going to succeed. And they know that, you know, Principal L, she's doing the right things. And so it's great that we can, you know, take that out there. Eventually, I would like to have opportunities nearly on every hole like this. It may not be students, it may be opportunities to showcase a school. This is what we've done this year. This is what we've accomplished. Because that's really what it's about, is just spreading that information about all the great things that's going on. Things that we've done new this year, our Friends of the Foundation luncheons. Last week we just had our third. It was a STEM circus. I know 4 of the Board of Trustees were there. Those students from the STEM Academy, amazing. We had decision makers from Lockheed there, decision makers from Bell, decision makers from Intel, and you talked to them at the end and they were blown away by those students. How, you know, they're just discussing, and those students would walk right up to them, introduce themselves, shake their hand, and tell them what they were doing, what they were making. You know, whether it was robotics, whether it was the 3D printer, whether it was architecture, rocketry, just amazing stuff that they're doing. And we did a fine arts, basically a showcase in December dealing with the holidays. Again, the same concept. And our next one will be in May. And we've been getting really good feedback and look forward to moving those forward. We did an event with Hawaiian Falls this past year. And hopefully as we move forward, we'll look into doing that yearly as well. And we also started doing a quarterly newsletter, as well as we finished our website. We've gone through this branding process. And so if you don't receive the newsletter, please go onto our website. You can sign up for it there. Email me, we'll get you logged in. We only do it quarterly because we don't want to get people bogged down. We just want pertinent information, stories about grant recipients, success stories about students, how to get involved with the foundation. April 30th, we're going to be hosting our 3rd Northwest Heritage Gala at the Circle R. All the Board of Trustees, you're always invited. It is a great opportunity for fundraising for the foundation. It's kind of a country casual affair. This year we have Charlotte Korn, who is a radio personality for the ranch. And we also have Charlie Robinson, who will be performing. We're going to have an educator showcase with a lot of our grant recipient educators there. Well, they'll have stations set up displaying whether it's equipment, whether it's, you know, a video that they've created, just showcasing opportunities, how the foundation has stepped in through the grants and helped them work with students and help make them future ready. And those of you know, last year we brought Amanda into the office. And I know many of you know Linda, and she left us in December. And so eventually we'll be replacing that position as well. It's a lot of great stuff we have going on. A couple other things that we're looking at in the future is there's a joint relationship that we're getting going with Salim Braswell and CTE and the Academy of Biomedical Sciences, and working with HCA, or the Medical Center of Alliance, in creating some kind of student symposium where we can get those students in front of the physicians, the hospital administrators, to present their Project Lead the Way senior projects. Those kind of things, they're important. They're important for the students. They're important for the businesses. The physicians love that kind of stuff. And it's good for the foundation to be able to facilitate those kind of relationships. And we also have another one going with Lockheed now in regards to Project Lead the Way and some intern opportunities that are down the road as 2-3 years as those students progress in that curriculum. So it's kind of exciting times with everything that we have going on.
David, does the new website, is that the same as the one that you would find on the Northwest ISD?
You can get to it through the NISD TX. The link will take you right to it.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad to see that.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah, David, this is just a wonderful presentation. This is great. All the things we appreciate, all the things you do, and your leadership and the leadership of the board, and everything that you do for our school system is invaluable. Well, you can put a value on it, but still, it goes above and beyond that. It really does.
Thank you.
And I love the website. I looked at it. It's coming up. It's flashy. It looks good. The logo looks great. And I just appreciate all of the things that you do. The luncheon was just really, really sound in terms of the student learning. Well done. One of the questions I just have, is there something that the board can do to support your efforts? So.
Always.
It's kind of like the wish list.
Exactly. One of the biggest things we have is just your knowledge, your expertise on what's coming up, opportunities where the foundation might be able to step in and do some things as you're looking at, as I bring up that project Lead the Way, donors will get excited about that. Or whether it's, some of our grants this year have to deal with dyslexia and, some literacy issues and stuff, things that you feel passionate about. As we see that stuff, or if you see something out there, let us know. I think that's, the key to the transition that the foundation's going through is branching out and doing things we traditionally haven't done in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Hester. Thank you. All right, that'll take us to Report C, January Financial and Investment Report. Dr. Rube?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Graswich. Mr. Graswich is here to present that report.
Yeah, before I start, the Permanent School Fund guaranteed our 2016 refunding this morning, and I talked to Jeff. They ran the numbers with Bill Gumbert and Bosky, the lead underwriter, and we should be able to make our target of getting more than $10 million back in gross savings. So we're going to go ahead and run the numbers and put everything out tomorrow, and should have a report for you for the March 7th board meeting showing how it all went. But we expect it to go about like we said or better. Anyway, to the January investment report. For January, this is a monthly report. Deanne and myself are the investment officers for the district as appointed by the school board. We had a couple of CDs mature, one in the general fund, one activity fund. We went out and purchased a couple of Fannie Mae's. We're starting to see us actually buy some different kinds of investments. The markets have shaken up a bit, and interest rates have gone up since the Fed action a while back. And we went out and bought 7 treasury notes, laddering out general fund tax collections as well. So we're getting a different investment perspective now that January reflects the December collections of property taxes. We have $309 million invested, and it is spread now amongst a bunch of other different things, including 23% in treasuries and 2% in agency bullet. So we still have 46% of the total investments in the district in CDs, but we're going to see some more diversity there. We have well laddered out 30% for the first quarter, 15% for the next quarter, 16% for the third quarter, 39% for the fourth quarter. We do put a 1-year limit on what we invest out to, because that's kind of our natural cash collection cycle, starting with taxes in December. We don't try to go out past a year and start playing the market. We did exceed all benchmarks again for Northwest ISD. We actually, if you looked at the report, we have a negative interest earnings for the month, which is kind of unusual, but that's because what happened was, no, we did not go to Vegas, and we did not lose. But what we did do was buy a whole bunch of securities and had to pay a premium for it. And those premiums will be, that's kind of how they show up in the accounting. And so once they'll work their way out. So no, no losses in investments. I could see that look, so I thought I just better head that one off. And Deanna actually came to me at the beginning and says, because it did look a little funny, but it had to do with the premium that we paid for the investments and buying all the treasury notes and things like that. Because we have been buying straight up CDs, so the accounting's a little different there. All the financials look like they're in good shape so far. We're continuing to monitor everything, and then, of course, we're working on the budget as we speak. People will be turning in their budget packages at the end of either February. I gave quite a few to the first week in March, so we'll be bringing some workshops to y'all in April with everything all pulled together. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gresswich. That will take us to Report D, the monthly construction report. Dr. Root?
Yes, thank you. I'm delighted to present our speaker tonight. Sarah, if you would, share with us.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to start on the planning projects that we have continued to work on. Steel HVAC roof renovations, we accepted the bids last week, and hopefully we will be coming to the board for a recommendation in March. The comprehensive facility assessment goes with the district standards, and we hired Huckabee last board meeting, and we are scheduled to work with them. I believe our first meeting is March 10th for our kickoff meeting. And then we have, Steel Elementary addition. We have given the architect and engineers the go-ahead to start the planning of that addition, which we will start this summer. And then the middle school number 6. We've also told the architect and engineers to start again or not again, but to finish up those drawings so we can get going on those projects. Again, we will start the HVAC project this June for steel. The comprehensive facility assessments, we also are working with them for our district standards. For the outdoor learning center, the Great Hall, we'll start with that, and we have all the concrete walls completed for it. The steel components for the floor slab are all installed. The decking is down and ready for the concrete slab to be poured, and our MEP rough-ins have begun. For the large pavilion, the beams for the roof structure are being installed, and they're almost completed. The CMU blocking is completed at the restroom and fireplace, and the exterior stone is being installed at the restroom area. For the restroom pavilion, we have the CMU blocking has been waterproofed, and the MEP rough-ins are 100%, as well as the steel or the creek and wetland pavilion MEP rough-ins are 100%. For the site, electrical CoServe has about 80% completed for the underground rough-ins for the final phase for the power to get to the site, as well as on the road work. Our flex base is completed and permanent roads around the creek pavilion are completed, and we are continuing to avoid the old existing roads, and so we can just get the new trails developed, as well as the topping for the roads, which is the finished portion, will begin this spring. Here's an aerial of the Great Hall. You can see that the decking is down and they're ready to pour, and the steel is up. There's just a site perspective. Another angle. And this is looking up from the large pavilion. Here's the large pavilion. As you can see, the beams are going up, and the restrooms at the top part of the picture are up. The CMU is up, and the stone is started to be installed. This is the actual view of the Great Hall. So this is what you'll be seeing of the large pavilion when you look out of the Great Hall. Closer view. This is the south side of the large pavilion with the restrooms. Here's the north side, and that is last week where the fireplace was being installed. Just a different angle. For the transportation complex addition and renovation, we have demoed about 75% of the existing parking lot. Grading is continuing, and we are working on the building pad for the new office building. There you can see part of the new building pad, just different angles of the site. Any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
I just had one question. When is the outdoor learning center and all that work is supposed to be completed?
In August.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and material completion of certain buildings by June. July?
July.
Okay.
I'll take what I can get.
Now, last time I talked to Terry Hoyle, there's a few buildings. That great the pavilion is going to be available to us prior to that. So, yes.
Is there anything left from the old blueprint?
Precious.
The structure.
There's no structure that we have left from the actual D branch. I'm sorry. The restrooms by that old large pavilion, I think, is the only thing left.
Pavilion there back when it was between stages.
Right.
Coyote something. And I didn't know if any of that remained. In fact, then I can still see some of the.
We don't have anything left. No.
I know it's late in the game to ask that.
Yeah. We had those beautiful views. They are still there.
And the animals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we will move to item 11. Consider any item removed from the consent agenda. There were none. Board President's Report. Techno Expo is this Thursday, February 25th, 5:30 p.m. at Northwest High School. I have a connection luncheon on March 10th. That'll be 11:30 a.m. here at the NISD Administration Building. And as a reminder, please let Jennifer know which events you plan to attend. Thank you. And finally, the board is called for a special meeting on Thursday, February 25th at 5:30 p.m. at Northwest High School to select a new search firm. The NISD Board of Trustees and Bob E. Griggs and Associates have come to a decision to mutually part ways. We are appreciative for the time spent working with Bob E. Griggs and Associates. Hiring a superintendent is one of the most important jobs a school board member has. We are committed to finding a search firm to assist with selecting a candidate that will lead NISD on the continued path of excellence already initiated and take the school district to another level of success as we continue to grow. Upon selection of a search firm, NISD community members, parents, and staff will have an opportunity to assist and provide input in development of the superintendent profile for the candidate search process. Thank you. And with that, we will move to item...
Mr. Wright,
yes.
I'm sorry, could I bring up one point that a meeting I went to this last week?
Oh, yes, sir.
This last week, there was a grassroots meeting at Region 10, and since I work less than a mile from Region 10, I went to the grassroots TASB meeting. There is one for Region 11 coming up this Wednesday at Region 11, and there is food. They do serve you food. But at that grassroots meeting, we had different legislators from mainly the Region 10 area, and we selected our top 6 legislative agenda items for the next session. And I will tell you, they did let me vote. They said, you're still one of us. And so the top 6 at our meeting were to look at active and retired teacher and health programs, adequacy of funding, education reform legislation, school facilities, that funding, school tax flexibility, and school finance equity. So those were the 6 that we came up with. And they did talk a little bit about education savings accounts and vouchers and what's going on with those. So overall, it was a good meeting. It kind of got us back in the mode of, the other part of our job of really, board members really having that advocacy part and going to Austin, talking to our legislators. And as everybody's getting out and voting now, we need to keep a forefront that they do know that we are more powerful than they are. And so if we have a say. So if you can make Wednesday's meeting, you can register through TASB. And if you need help with that, I'm sure Jennifer could help you. And you can request your password for the 8th time like I did. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. All right. With that, we will move to the superintendent's report. Dr. Rue.
Well, you've shared Techno Expo, which of course will be an opportunity for our students to demonstrate their learning. We're excited about that. And I'll also share with you that I have the opportunity tomorrow to speak as invited testimony for the Texas High Performance School Consortium. I'm Greg Smith and Clear Creek ISD, co-chair of that organization. And we will be speaking, I will and Dawson Orr will be speaking with the Commission on Next Generation Assessment and Accountability. And this is a very good opportunity to continue to advocate for the type of assessments and accountability within our state that move us forward and that refocus local and community control over not just curriculum, but for how we hold ourselves accountable to one another. The research they've been seeing, I have read through in preparation for this meeting. I've read through the research they have seen. They have seen this coming to them from across the United States. The state of Oklahoma did commission an outstanding next generation report. We have that copy available to the commission members. The same things that we are working on, others are also working on. And we will continue to encourage them to take advantage of the flexibilities that the reauthorized Elementary and Secondary Education Act offer us in the way of how we assess. It really has been turned back from the federal level to the state level. So the opportunity is there for Texas to reshape how it holds its schools accountable. And so my speaking tomorrow, should I get something out of this throat, will be on those topics. We hope, I'll be glad to share with you how that goes.
Well, thank you. We're glad you're doing that.